Hello my friends, let's go straight to the Bakhmut area, and today I'm gonna tell you how many chances does the Wagner army has to encircle the city from the north and from the south, or maybe they could just withdraw their forces according to the latest information. And we're also gonna speak about the chances for Ukrainian army to counterattack from two of the directions in this area. It's gonna be kind of interesting, so stay tuned. But firstly, let me tell you about the news from Ukraine, and I'm using the ground news resource for more than 2 months already, and they provide very detailed information and also resources where this information is coming from. The ground news platform provides all of the information according to the order, and you have your own preferences. For example, I'm on a page for top Ukraine war news, so here we have top of the news which are more popular, and a little below we have the blind spots, the information that I might have missed according to my appreciations. And if we go a little deeper, you might find the latest news stories, and the latest one we have around Ukrainian topic is that Russia cannot meet arms delivery commitments because of the war in Ukraine to Indian air forces. And here we are speaking about not only the airplanes but air defense systems. And if you just click on the news, you may find more information about the particular story, all of the agencies that reported that one, and also there's the bias distribution that shows how the particular news were delivered to the audience from the left side, from the right, or from the central news agencies. And here, as you can see, mostly it's in the central. And that's how you can control the sources you get the information from, because sometimes someone says something and no one knows the original. Here you understand everything just from the single website. Let's click, for example, this one to understand more about the topic, and obviously you have lots of the information. And here we see that Russia is unable to follow their biggest ongoing contract with India for S-400 air defense systems. The contract was signed 5 years ago, and the deal price is $5.4 billion. And also Indian Air Force depends on the spare parts for Sukhoi Su-30 and MiG-29 fighter jets that are also postponed by the Russian Federation. And as for the S-400 air defense systems, I'm sure that they use some of the Western-made technologies that are now under the sanctions. So that is why we have this result. And this is kind of the bad news for the Russian military production, because other customers will see the story and decide not to buy the new Russian weaponry. After the Soviet Union collapse, mostly Asian countries, together with India, saved Russian military production because they were the customers for the Russian weaponry, including Sukhoi Su-35 airplanes, which is the Russian bestseller abroad. I know it because my base, when I was a pilot in Indonesia, was in Makassar, which is also the military base for the Indonesian Sukhoi Su-35 airplanes. And sometimes Russians attended that place for the training of Indonesian pilots. And now I don't think that they'll have resource for new contracts, and from what I know, the manufacturing of Su-35 airplanes stopped because of the lack of the spare parts which were delivered by the Western countries before. And if we go below a little, we may find the news that we're actually covering today. So Ukraine says Russia's Bakhmut assault loses steam, counterstrike is coming soon. Again, you can see the bias distribution. It's now more to the right side, but nevertheless, let's click on the news to find out more information about the topic. So it really helps me to understand of what is happening around my preferred topic. I may find some other news about culture, politics. Everything is delivered according to your needs. And let's check out this information. According to Ukrainian military, Russia lost more than 1,000 soldiers for 24 hours, mostly in Liman, Avdiivka, Marinka, Shakhtarsk, and Bakhmut. We know that Bakhmut is the hottest hotspot, and enemy has stopped its assault of Bakhmut, Ukraine's general staff reported. And before, I checked on the ground news by some of the resources that Prigozhin was going to withdraw the forces from Bakhmut and send them to Africa. Well, I still think that this scenario is quite unreal, but if Ukraine performs the counterattack in that city, it could be true. So my friends, I consider the ground news is the best distribution platform there that provides the information for you personally. And you may choose what articles to read, depends on your personal preferences, and no worries if you missed some news because you may find them in a blind spot, so I highly recommend you to check this page of the ground news as well. So my friends, go to my personal link, it's ground.news/Dennis, it's in video description just below, where you can subscribe for the resource for free or sign up with my link to have unlimited access for the platform. That's how you can support the creative community to deliver the news around the globe, and also that is how you may support my channel, because Ground News is the sponsor of my channel. Ground News, thank you for this awesome resource. Ground News is also available as an application, and you may easily find it in Apple Store or Google Play. Alright, let's go back to Bakhmut topic, and here we need to speak about Prigozhin, because he really was the guy who drove the arrows from Ukrainian side, showing the possible counterattack directions in the area. So he really afraid about this possible scenario, and I told you in my yesterday's video that Ukraine concentrated more than 80,000 soldiers near to the Bakhmut city. And I think that Wagner has around 50,000, but Ukrainian forces in the city have to withstand the counterattack, and for now it's very hard because Russia has advantage because they partially took the city from 3 of the directions, and that makes our situation hard over there. But Prigozhin in his today's video haven't said anything about the possible Wagner withdrawal, and yesterday he said that they will continue to fight in Bakhmut because Russia needs them now. But I think that the information that Wagner forces could potentially withdraw from Ukraine is not coming just from nothing. So there are some of the rumors, and there is no smoke without the fire. But for now, the probability to withdraw for Wagner's is very low because they are in advantage over here, at least for this map from the positions that they've took. But for today we have some awesome news. If you click on the timeline, you see that for today there were just minor frontline updates, and it means that they're not moving. Basically they're stuck in Bakhmut because Ukraine sends more reinforcements. And yes, there is the probability for Ukrainian counterattack as Prigozhin predicts in this area. The most probable direction should be from the Chasiv Yar, and we have lots of the forces out there, and the next one should be from the south over here to cut those hams. This is more hard situation on the north because Wagner's took extra ground over there, but still this task is real for Ukrainian army. And Wagner's never faced the Ukrainian advantage as Russian regular army faced in Kharkiv area or Kherson. If you look at the story of the Bakhmut city, you'll find out that Wagner's mostly took the ground all of the time, little by little. And I think that it was done in purpose from the Ukrainian side because we need to blot out the most capable Russian forces which are fighting nowadays in Bakhmut. And remember, then last week I said that it's time to get out from the Bakhmut city for the Ukrainian side. I may admit that I was wrong, really. Well, partially wrong, I would say. Still, we have more casualties nowadays after Wagner's went to the city because of the urban fighting. And because of that, still I'm not sure for how long we're gonna maintain this city under control. But with the current events, I can state that there's not gonna be the fast encirclement of the Bakhmut city as I thought before, so it's not going to be the second Ilovaisk or Debaltseve that happened long time ago. Then Ukrainian forces were encircled. Plus, what keeps me positive are the good news coming from Hromove. It's just a small village at the edge of the city, and here Russian forces were very close. You were not able to see this on the deep state map, but on the other maps you might have seen. And today it was reported by Ukrainian side that we did the successful counterattack in this place, pushing Russians away from this very important crossroad. And why is it important over here? Because there are 2 of the supply roads. One goes from the Chasiv Yar from this side, and also a small secondary road that leads to the city all across this road as well. And we use some sort of the dirt road to connect this road to the other one to provide supplies for Ukrainian army. But in that case, Ukraine uses the off-road capability machines because otherwise it's not possible nowadays to supply the units in the Bakhmut city. So before I gave 90% for the city to be captured by the Russian forces, and now I give 50-50, and I think that Ukrainian counterattack is really possible nowadays. And then it starts, Wagners would have to search for the shelter, maybe in Africa. And about the weather that may influence the situation on the front lines, so we have the bad forecast for assault missions. Probably that is why also Wagner forces are stuck in Bakhmut right now, and we should not expect the assault missions or counterattacks from the Ukrainian side because weather is really bad. The winter is coming again. During the night time it should be even -3 sometimes and snowing. And after the winter weather is over, there should be around 3 up to 4 weeks for the soil to be more or less rigid. And now you understand that the big counterattack is possible just in April, and that is what happened 1 year ago. Then Ukraine started the counterattack, and during the April months Russia left the Kyiv area together with Chernihiv, Sumy and many more. Wow, it's the first time we have this statement from Ukrainian official. The commander of Ukrainian Air Force, Ignat, said that there is the chance for Ukraine to hire international pilots to fly F-16s for Ukraine. Those pilots got the military experience, probably retired from the United States Army and others. So actually I think that it is possible because we have volunteers from International Legion who are fighting for Ukraine, and also Wagner has different nationalities in their armies, so why not? Here are just the planes, more sophisticated tools. And that brings us back to Korean War and Vietnam War, where Russians actually were fighting against Americans, pilots against pilots. Yeah, officially those pilots were from Vietnam or from Korea, but actually they weren't. And we have the article from Bloomberg. They say that Russia cancelled their attack intentions this year and will go to full defense. Also, they're planning to hire 400,000 more soldiers to the Russian army. At the same time, they do afraid to announce the new mobilization because it may influence the Putin's election campaign, and the election year for Russia is the next one. But still they may do the hidden mobilization and also mobilize the newcomers to the Russian army. The service in the Russian army is obligatory for the young man who is older than 18 years old. And after that obligatory term of service, which is just 1 year, they might be forced to join the contract Russian army. Finland has opened its airspace to the NATO aviation, and immediately after, the NATO surveillance airplanes start to fly along the side of the Russian border. And Finland already voted to join the NATO membership, and I think there should be no problems with that. And now Russia has the long border with NATO. This is one of the greatest achievements of Putin in this war. And Russia was mad about the possible delivery of the depleted uranium shells to Ukrainian army, but they have their own tank T-90BM that may be equipped by the depleted uranium shells. And this article was published 5 years ago, back in 2018. And now they say that uranium shells will devastate the Ukrainian agriculture and everything around. Well, maybe for the recent 5 years the depleted uranium shells just became more radioactive. Or maybe they haven't studied the physics in a school and they do not know what alpha rays are. Alright my friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine, and now if you want to get the access to the awesome news resource, the ground news, my personal link for that is in the video description just below. Please support the creative community of the ground news and my channel. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.